Hello, everyone. My name is Sasha Sells. I live in Colorado in the mountains in the United States, and I am an advanced practitioner of orthobionomy. I also am an Akashic Records consultant and healer, and an intuitive energetic healer as well. And I am here to talk about I am the change I want to envision. And my journey a bit to get to this point in time um, has been an interesting one, as all of ours usually is. But it took me a while to really find my footing in, um, I guess, more so in the energy world, but also in alternative healing modalities. I've always been connected to them, and I felt a powerful pull towards them. And I really started getting into them when I suffered quite a few concussions, and Western medicine really didn't help me. And so I started trying acupuncture and osteopathy and cranial sacral work and different options that would help me, because really what I realized is how little we understood at that time about even the brain and healing in general. And so it took me still a while to really gain momentum and really find my way in it, even though I've always been fascinated about the unknown and the mysteries and the magic and the spirits that are all around us and the energy that is all around us. But I still had to just find my way to the point where I incorporated it more into my life and really honored my gifts within myself and what, in essence, spirit was always telling me. And it just took the time it took for me to really hear the words that came through. And so I've really gotten more into um, being a healer overall in the last, I would say, about almost 6 years now. And it's been an amazing transformation. And during this time, I have healed and worked on myself on all different levels to improve myself and uplift myself and to, lighten the load, the baggage that we are carrying around all the time, and to really be true to myself. And so I think as each day almost goes by, I find um, a deeper sense of how I can be in alignment with my purpose, with who I am, with who I perceive myself more or less to be, and how that looks in the world around me. Because I find standing in my divine truth and standing in my energy and how that feels within me then can lead the way and help others. But it feels amazing. That's really the important aspect of it. I think of all this work of really finding ourselves and being connected with ourselves is how that makes us feel. Because the more we feel ourselves and we know ourselves, I think the more that confidence and that strength and that foundation that builds within ourselves can then permeate into all aspects of our life and what we do in our day to day, and in our jobs, in our relationships, in our love life, in our adventures and everything. And because we are human and life is unpredictable and we never know what is going to happen or how it's going to happen, um, the more that we have that foundation stronger within ourselves, the more that we hold that truth within ourselves, the more we can just keep growing and doing. And as the unpredictability of life presents itself and the unknown shows up, we are more prepared and we are more flexible, and we can bounce back faster and we can hold our own, and we can also, I think, be more disciplined, not only disciplined, but the word has eluded me. It will come sometime. Um, but more focused in the moment, that we can navigate the nuances of what life brings to us. And it's been, it's been hard at times. I mean, I think everyone can share in that experience of that, some days and some weeks and some months and some years have just like pulled at every string of our being and torn us apart and then brought us into the new. And so being the change and showing up with a constant transformation. I mean, the one thing that we all know, so true, is change is constant. Change happens all around us. We're watching things change every day. Every day is different. Every day is completely unique. There will be no clouds that will be the same every day. The nature will never look the same every day. Even if it almost looks almost the same, it will not be the same. There will always be an aspect that will show up different, and we will show up different. Even if we're doing the same routine, the same, maybe it's mundane, maybe it's exciting, maybe it's all of the above, it will still look slightly different. And so in that, we always have the opportunity to show up the best we can, the strongest we can, the lightest we can. And some days we do it better than others. And that's just part of being human and part of life. Like, we can't understand the joy, the beauty, the light, the glow, the brilliance of everything around us if we also don't have sometimes the darkness, the shadows, the depth, the sorrow, the sadness, the grief. We need it all. We need it all to experience what we've decided to be here at this time to experience, which is this human form in this human body. And that's part of the gift of being human. We got to experience emotions on all different levels. And there is this quote that I came across last night, and it says, "If nothing ever changed, there would be no butterflies." And I love butterflies. It does say it's unknown who said that. I love butterflies. I live in the mountains and I hike a lot, and I've grown up hiking a lot. And I always, for some reason, decided at one point on one of my hikes decades ago that when I would see a butterfly, I always knew I was on the right path, like I was on the right direction. For some whatever reason, I was like, okay, there's butterflies, even though there are butterflies everywhere, in the summertime, especially, obviously. But I was like, okay, I'm on the right path. And but I think that's so simple. And butterflies go through, they completely change form. They completely change from a caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly. And they go through such a powerful transformation. And that's part of their life. And we do this all the time. We can do this every day, every year, every month. Like, we go through these each phases of basically being a butterfly. And we're going through various stages of that experience all the time through different things, through relationships, through our work, through just the day-to-day family, all these things are all happening. And so I just love it. It's simple and it's sweet, and butterflies are, of course, beautiful. So I just think that in being the change we want to envision, we have to recognize that we are changing all the time, every day in the experience. And then we get to show up for that change however we want to. Um, we get to be mad sometimes, we get to be happy sometimes, we get to be, frustrated sometimes, we get to, skip down the road sometimes. And, I think a lot of times, I was speaking with someone last night about change, and they were sharing, there's, I think, these fears a lot with change and these hesitations, if I move, what's going to happen? Like, I move a house, or I move to a different town or city or even a country, everything changes in that moment, but it gives new opportunities to what comes in. And with change always brings all different kinds of emotions, and it gives us opportunities again. It's these opportunities that come into our life that help us to see our potential and what can happen and how we can shift to even do it better, to do it differently, to experience life on a different level. And one of the things that's really coming through and about this summit in general is, we're at such an amazing time in life and in being human and being in the existence of the earth all around us. And it's such a huge transformation that's going on. And we can see it in a day-to-day throughout the world, in all different countries and all different societies and cultures. And we're just at this brink of transformation, and the old, in a sense, is dying, and there's a new beginning. And so there's this massive change that regardless of if we want to join into the process or not, it is happening around us. And so we get to participate however we want to participate in this process, which is exciting. And then, of course, it gets all fine-tuned. There's the macro of that biggest change, and then it goes all the way to the micro of like what happens in our day-to-day and our personal experience. And the way that we also, as this change comes from the outside and is happening all around us, the way that we get the opportunity to really change within ourselves is priceless. And how we can affect, if we want to affect, or if we want to, maybe it's more this idea of being part of that change that's happening all around us, is we have to change within ourselves. We have to heal within ourselves. We have to heal our wounds. We have to heal our traumas. We have to heal, and we have to let go of our baggage, because as we are transforming into this, like this new, this beginning, this evolution that's happening all around us, we need to slough off. We need to shed what is no longer serving us. And that's part of the old dying. Like the part of the thing that's dying is the stuff that is no longer serving us on this, like in the highest form that we can be, because we can continuously evolve to a higher potential. And we have this, and we have lost sight, I feel like, of this within ourselves on so many different levels. We have lost sight of our possibilities, our potentialities, because as the universe is infinite, as above, so below, which we say all the time, or, as below, so above, like we're just mirroring the universe and ourselves back and forth, and nature and everything and people, we're mirroring each other and everything around us all the time, as far as we know, although they try and tell us otherwise in some ways, like it's limited, but it's infinite. The universe is infinite. We don't know where it begins. We don't know where it ends. We hypothesize about these things all the time, but it's absolutely infinite. And if that's infinite, we are infinite. And so that means we have these potentials that are so much more beyond what we give ourselves credit for and what we allow ourselves to experience. And we can dream as big as we want to dream. And yet at the same time, we have to embody those dreams. We have to align with those dreams. We have to bring them into existence. And by doing that, we can't keep doing the same patterns that we've always been doing. Because if we keep recycling the old, how can we bring in the new? We keep bringing in the same patterns. We keep doing the same like default patterns that we have done so long. Then the new can't become part of the dream that we're envisioning. And so it's so important to really, and challenging and difficult and sometimes so beautiful. I mean, I realized as I was thinking more about this talk, one of the things, and I was looking for some quotes that were inspirational quotes, I realized that everything they talk about, like with like self-discipline and change and transformation and all these things, there's always this edge around it that's like, it's going to be hard. You have to work hard. You have to like push hard. You have to like, there's this like effort that you have to put in. And it's not to say there's not an effort, but I think part of what we're moving into is this like idea of not necessarily this like force so much for making something happen, to push the change, to push the transformation, to push it. Like it's more this expansion into it, and this like opening into it that allows us to like to be part of it. And it's not to say that it might make you cry sometime and want to pull out all your hair and punch a pillow or whatever it is. It's just saying that like if we always keep attaching to our thought process of like these things are hard to do, then we're already limiting our abilities in doing those things. We're already like restricting our possibilities of what could be. And I think that when I was reading these inspirational quotes, which some of them I have like been like, oh yeah, this is how that works, and this helps me, and this is what makes me feel good. I do have a couple more to share, but it was like they kept expressing so much of this challenging aspect, this difficulty, this like you have to work into it. And they have this like they have such a poignant way to say that. That's why there are these quotes that we've heard, many times over, or they get, circulated in all different ways and in all different languages. But what really caught that I thought that it's so different in this moment now and what we're experiencing is that we just need to recognize that all these things, when we are navigating our traumas and healing and pains, and we're moving or we're ending a relationship or changing, a job, or, we're not sure if it's the right thing, and we're processing it and going through the actions. I think if we're able to embrace more of this expansion, this opening of energy in the process, it gives us so much more light to come in and more grace sometimes to come in. And almost as if like it takes away a bit of that feeling of it needing to be hard, that feeling that it needs to be, work. And I think it seems to be something that I was a little surprised was coming in so strongly as I was thinking about this talk and what I would share. It just like came in so like, I was like, wait, that's not right, because we need to move into expansion. That's what we're moving into. We're moving into a new way of associating with how to exist almost in this realm. And as we like move from 3-dimensional to 5-dimensional, like that's an expansion. That's a different way of perceiving how we exist in this realm. And that means we bring in new ways of being, new ways of thinking, new ways of existing, which are also ways that we don't quite know yet what they are. And so they're coming through, and and the more that we're open to them in that expansion state, they will then allow us to take new trajectories, new directions into our experiences and into our day to day. And so, I think that it's beautiful to really, when we feel that expansion, we feel that energy, it's really beautiful. And even if it's just subtle for a moment or for 2 moments. And the thing that's always important to me to recognize is that we are all at a different place on our journey. We all decided to incarnate at this time for different reasons, for our own experience, for our soul's evolution. So our journeys are very unique. And yet, obviously, we have this wonderful capacity to have shared experiences, because we know fear, we know love, we know connection, we know anger, we know resentment, we know jealousy, we know joy. Hopefully all these experiences has happened for all of us and in different ways, but we know what they are, so we can share that experience. But again, we will each be in a different place. And so we are navigating our own experiences in the moment and what those bring up and how they process through us. And healing our trauma and healing our patterns and recognizing them is not necessarily for the, faint of heart. This is stuff that's definitely for people that are, for everybody, because um, it hurts. It's stuff that's really caused us discomfort. And when discomfort is one of those things that really like paralyzes us and gets us stuck into our, so to speak, our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight and our freeze and our fawn. And so that discomfort really gets to that place where we're like, we don't want to be here, and we chose not to be here in that space. And so we might run away from it, we might fight it, and however. And so it's really in the beauty of going, being present and going through those experiences. And it is a challenge. And what's beautiful also is that people that are healing their trauma and healing their patterns, changing their patterns, and on their healing journey, they are in essence, because they're focusing on ourselves, because they're focusing within, they are actually doing it also for humanity. Because when we witness the change and transformation within the people around us, we recognize the possibilities that are there. And even if it's like the simplest way of being a a guide or a light for someone, for them to see something different within themselves, it is amazing. It is, and I had a friend about a month ago. I was having one of my days with all this different energy coming through, and I was like, oh my gosh, all this stuff. And I can't even remember what I said, but I said something to her and it stuck and it helped her get to that next step. It was a really big thing. She's like, what you said to me made so much sense and it really helped me. And so we really don't recognize, even when we're saying just something off the cuff and not like maybe this moment of having like, oh, a deep thought or something, just something off the cuff, how that ripples out in the universe around us. And so it's, we are guides for each other. We are teachers for each other. We are helping each other all the time, every day in our experiences with each other, because it matters how we associate with the clerk at the shop. It matters how we greet someone when we see them. And, it matters sometimes how we drive down the road. These things matter, how we exist in our day to day. And the people around us, they respond from their own, where they are on their journey. But again, we never know what a smile can do for someone, what a little word can do, what even a little sentence can do, and how that can change. And so as we keep clearing out our own stuff, we are able to navigate the world in an easier fashion, where that even in the frustration of, I am someone that runs late. It's not a great trait. But even though I run late, I don't get stressed like I used to. And I don't feel this forceful energy to get there any faster. I'm like, I'm late. So I'm just going to be late, and so it has a different way of showing up in the process of even driving to the place I'm going to, without like being a mad crazy person and hurrying down the road and everything. And I still would love to change this pattern. It is a work in progress, but it's still like I have changed how I associate with being late. And so it doesn't freak me out. I don't panic. I don't think of the 100 excuses that I'm going to tell someone of why I was late and the end of the world was happening. I just like show up and I'm like, I'm late. I left late. I even give myself 15 minutes extra because I know I run late and I still use up the 15 minutes. So I need to bump it up to 30, but soon it's going to be an hour. I just don't know how to do it sometimes. But, so these things, even though I haven't perfected this pattern that I would love to, I still do it so much better. I still navigate it so much better because of all the work that I've done within myself, which still gives an opportunity of just showing up and it not being with this like agitated energy, and that how that then affects the people around me. And so it's just like this like really beautiful way of like, this is a time that we do need to focus on ourselves. This has been a time, and it's selfish in the big S. It's selfish, it's for ourselves in relationship to what we believe. I believe in the spirit source. Like I believe in an energy that is bigger than us, that you know, that has the universe, everything's connected, the divine, it's beautiful, there's God, it's a light, it's not associated with a religion or anything like that, but it's beautiful. And when we work on ourselves and connect with ourselves, we are connecting with that energy, and we are clearing our space in this like space-time continuum to be the light, the guides, the shining for all, for everyone, for ourselves, most importantly. And that's the thing, like, I think so much what we've been looking at in the world around us is that, we have been like, okay, we have to fix this thing. We have to heal the ocean. We have to heal the environment. We have to make better, efficient things. We have to, fix this relationship. And so we put our energy outside of us so much that we almost dwindle what's inside of us, and we don't honor what's within ourselves. And it takes a lot it takes a lot to go inward and really like heal and be clear what's within ourselves. However, when we are the change that we want to envision, we are the light for however we want to be that light. We get to decide. You know, I know I'm here in essence to help humanity and be a light for a lot of people. But that doesn't mean that's it for everybody, and it doesn't need to be for everybody. We all have these wonderful ways that we associate, and the light that we want to put out might be just the light for our family, which is beautiful, and to raise children, you know, which is gorgeous, or the light for creating some sort of company or business that, you know, helps children or helps, you know, helps grow beautiful flowers. I mean, we get to like be the light within the space that we create, and all of it's important. But we can't really do those things to the fullest of our capacity if we're not true to ourselves, and if we're not healing ourselves, and if we're not like taking care of ourselves. And it takes commitment, it takes dedication, it takes discipline, it takes, you know, circling back. And what's exciting right now is because everything's changing so fast, we actually have the opportunity in a way to jump on a like that fast transformation. We have an opportunity to almost like what seemed to take like I feel that I really started some of my healing journey. I know I did it before, but there was a big moment in my life where I was about 30 years old, and I went and did a retreat, and I felt that it was a real clear calling that first off, well, I knew this even before that time, but I didn't really like myself. I didn't love myself. I wasn't happy where I was at. My self-esteem was not great. I didn't believe in myself and all these things. And so that was really a turning point. But what felt like at that time took a year or 2 years to sometimes gain momentum and to get like a step ahead in the journey. Now I feel like we can do in a week or a month. Like I feel like we have opportunities right now to sometimes clear some of this stuff that in a much faster way. And so we have this opportunity to jump on this energetic, like the energy as it's moving faster and time feels like it's speeding up. Instead of being so like, you know, almost afraid of it, we get to almost like lean into it and like go with it. Because if we fight it, again, it's going to keep happening. We're not going to like be able to control it. We're just going to feel like frustrated that we're running out of time, so to speak. But if we kind of get into the momentum with it, then we're expanding into it. And then we have the opportunity to like allow that to be part of our change and to be like, hey, I just processed one of these big patterns. I was able to shift it, you know, let's say 10 times faster than I would have normally been able to do that, you know, because before it might have taken years, you know, and we just have this opportunity now to really witness and recognize what's changing all around us, not get too wrapped up in it, but be part of it, experience it as well. And it's going to be hard. It's definitely going to push our limits sometimes, and it might rack our brains. And that's where we have that time to remember to take a pause and a deep breath and to center ourselves and to come back to who we are, you know, because as we get riled up, and that's one of the biggest things I think when we're looking at our patterns uh, and healing trauma and doing all this work is that one of the best gifts that we can ever do in the processes is when we say lose our foundation a little bit, get scattered, kind of get racked in our brain. We just take a pause. We just take a breath. We don't have to like analyze it. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to think about like, should we do this? Should we do that? Are we doing it right? Are we doing it wrong? We don't have to judge ourselves. We don't have to do any of it. We just get to like, you know, be in the moment and just pause. And, you know, in our society today and the lives that have evolved and technology and everything moves so fast, we have erased the pause in a way. We have erased that time that we take just to take a moment before we make a decision. We feel the pressure and everything gets so amped up that we don't take the pause. And we need pauses, especially when time is moving faster. We need to pause before we like leap and jump into decisions that we are making, into experiences we are deciding to do. And that pause, even if nothing comes, I mean, I think that's something that's always like frustrated me at times is you know, the quick fix. I want the answer now. I want to know, why am I getting this download, or why is this information coming in now, or why did this experience happen to me? And, there's the analytical part of my brain that wants to process it all and have the answers to the whole system and like a nice neat bow around it. And it just doesn't work that way, and we, it's, and it does too, because I think when we are able to more step back and pause, it might not be like this in a neat box, but there's like a knowing, a deeper knowing that might not have words yet to express it, but there's a deeper knowing of just being like, oh, that just needed to happen that way. That's okay. And it's like softer in the system, and I always go back to this, thought process, like there are no accidents. And my maybe science-y brain or whatever a little while ago thought, because we have these like kind of absolutes that always get us in trouble. But also there are some, I think, certain laws of the universe that do hold true, because in essence, if there's either like everything would have to be an accident or nothing could be an accident, because otherwise then we get to decide when something's an accident and not an accident. And that doesn't work that way. I mean, it'd be fun too sometimes, but it doesn't work that way, you know? So I figured out, like, obviously there are things, and I think everybody across the board has experienced things where like, that was no accident. That definitely was meant to be, that meant to happen, that encounter, that job, that, walk in the park, whatever it is, like that was meant to be. And so therefore that's just like with everything. And it's not to get to run away with that, I think, because we can then run away with that and, try and then of course like be like, but no accidents. So then this had to happen, this had to happen. Because at the same moment we have this free will that gets to decide certain things. So yes, certain things are meant to happen, but maybe it's just a certain encounter that would lead you to a different direction. But that encounter could have happened with 10 different people. You just chose to go that one direction to have that encounter with that one person. But there were another 9 other people that would have led you to the same place, maybe slightly different, but still maybe led you to the same idea. And, in essence, we can all have these beliefs about what is and what isn't, and what is real and what's not real. And, and we could go round and round, and I think we could spend days talking about this stuff. And still, at the end of it, each have our own opinion, and they would all be right. They would all be, they all hold truths, and that's the thing. We still try and hold on to these absolute truths and not realizing that the truth is just, it's so much bigger than that. It's not narrowed into, the black and white world, the dualistic world. And that's what we're also moving away from, is this duality of like, it's either this or this. And it's not either black or white, and it's not either gray, and it's pink and purple, and it's rainbows, and it's sparkles, and it's stripes, and all different patterns. It's everything. And so it just lightens, I think, this pressure that we put on ourselves, on our journey, on our experience of being human, of like figuring it all out and knowing the answers. Because if we were supposed to know the answers, we'd know the answers. If we were supposed to have all the answers, I think they would be there. And in ways we've drifted away from these truths that we know so well, that were part of our existence. We drifted away, but that's also been part of our like journey. That's been part of this experience, because in any relationship, you have the ebb and the flow. You go from one side and you swing one side to the pendulum until you find kind of the balance between it, or you don't. I mean, it's not necessary. And so we are swinging on our pendulum in this existence, in this human existence from, one extreme. And we really went to one extreme. We've gotten so disconnected from ourselves, so disconnected from nature, so disconnected of what it means to be human, um, distracted all the time, phones, computers, like movies, and it amps up to keep us more disconnected from ourselves. And so all of us that are doing this work of healing and growing and being centered and pausing and taking the time to like go within, we're helping that pendulum swing back, because actually being connected to ourselves is so much powerful than being disconnected. And in a sense, each one of us that gets more connected with ourselves does the work of healing, I think is like 10 times, I don't know, but 10 times stronger than someone that's out disconnected and, on their phone and on their computer and just like, kind of on their autopilot. And so that light that we bring in, that like energy, because as Andrea pointed out so beautifully at the beginning of this summit, we are all energy. This is all energy. It all happens. Energy has its own laws in a sense of how it works. And we know positive energy is way more powerful and has a bigger force, footprint, whatever you want to say, than negative energy. It really does. The negative energy, though, like can really suck us in pretty quickly. But that joy, that love, when we like compassion, like when you really truly feel that, like it fills rooms, it fills up buildings, it fills cities, like it changes things. The fear has like but it collapses in on itself. And that's what it's doing, because we've like been living, we've been building so much more fear. We have to be afraid of each other now. We have to be afraid of germs. We have to be afraid of, what's going to happen if we go outside. This could happen. This could happen. Like you can, be afraid, of the world around us all the time. But we have to step through that fear and get to the expansion and get to the love and get to the light. And the fear dwindles because it has no foundation. It has no root. It doesn't, it tries to hold on, and it will continue. I mean, that's the job of fear. It builds on itself. But when we step out of that fear, when we are able to free ourselves from being afraid of what if this happened? What if that happened? What if I make a bad decision? What if I don't make the right decision? What if I never make enough money? What if there's so many what ifs in our day to day, that lead us into this space that makes our world smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And so it's when we step more into that expansion and into that area, it's not to say that we don't have moments where like, I don't know, what if this doesn't work out? What if, you know, I don't know. It's also like there's then an opportunity. I keep getting reminded from wonderful people in my life that, when I'm like dealing with something that's challenging for myself, when I'm dealing with something that I don't like and causes discomfort, and it really like can rile up my system, I I get reminded of like more like, what is the opportunity? Why did you choose to have this experience with someone? Like, why are you like, because when our system shut down and when we have that discomfort and when we have those negative feelings, or we like, I don't want to be here. And we like get into that fight or flight, we get into our the sympathetic nervous system. It is the opportunity to lean into those moments if it feels comfortable, to be like, okay, I don't want to be here, and just sit there and see what comes through, instead of like, I don't want to be here, I'm out. And so it's all the times, every single day we have like a million opportunities. We have a million different options of how it can go, of how we can choose um to laugh, to cry at a certain thing, to listen to a specific song, to, you know to go to work frustrated, to bring, whatever energies with us. And so every day we get to pause however many times during a day and be like, I want to do this differently. I want to see this differently. And a lot of times, don't get me wrong, we're still whatever, 80, 90% on autopilot, it's like going through the motions, like driving to work or, making my tea in the morning, whatever it is, we go through those, there's an autopilot, we create patterns and we need them. We can't just be chaotic every day. That would take a lot of energy. But, so the autopilot is necessary that helps us get and navigate through life. But even in those little moments, we get to choose how we sit in the car while we're driving, what we're thinking about, even though sometimes the thoughts just do the thoughts, but that's okay too. And so it's just like, it's recognizing that being human's beautiful. It's a wonderful experience. Sometimes it might really suck. Sometimes it might be really painful. Sometimes we might butt our heads against a wall and wonder, like, what is the point? And I do, yeah, I don't know the answer. I don't know, like, why do we exist? Maybe this is just some weird simulation that people are laughing around, having a good time. I don't know. I really don't. But I think that the more that I've healed and the more that I feel better about myself and done the work within myself, even if it just is some funny simulation that people are like, humans, they think they're so important, they're doing all this stuff, we get to obliterate them whenever we get to obliterate them or whatever, um, but I'm enjoying my life more. I'm bringing more joy into my life. My experiences improve. I I feel more aligned with my purpose, with my divinity, with my brilliance, with my light. And I feel that that has the opportunity to help others, which one thing for myself that I feel very true about is that I am here to be in service to the world around me and to humanity. And that's really important. It is driving force. It's been a driving force in my life for a long time, which is why it still took me a while to get to my alternative healing modalities, my work, but it was always there. I always knew I needed to be in service to others and to myself. And that was what somebody reminded me the other day. Again, it's not always to put your energy out. It's making sure also, because we all know that saying, like, we can't help other people's if we're not taking care of ourselves. Like, and that's so important. We have to take care of ourselves. It's mandatory. That's the number one thing. And the other thing is nobody else can take care of us as well as we can take care of ourselves. No one knows the nuances of what we need like we know, no matter what, no matter how good we're at communicating it all. Like, we know better than anyone else. And the more that we do the work to heal these things, to recognize them, the clearer it is that these things come in, that we know even better how to care for ourselves and what we need from the day to day. And we mess it up because we're human. Some days we're really good at taking care of ourselves, some weeks, some months, and sometimes we're just like, I can't do that right now. I have to focus on this. And that's okay too. But we do need to remember to come back to ourselves, like to come back to that place and in our heart and in our space. And so, in the aspect of I am the change I want to envision, like, I feel so clear in myself that I keep improving myself. I keep working on myself. I keep navigating my own pitfalls, um, my own challenges, my own difficulties, and my own growths and all aspects of that, to keep being the light, to keep being a guide, to keep being someone to share with everyone that is around me, and and be that for everyone that is around me just as much as to be that for myself. And it feels good. It actually feels good. And it doesn't, I mean, we all have an ego and that's healthy and we need egos, but it doesn't necessarily make me feel like I'm full of myself or better. I screw up all the time. I learn all the time, but the only way that I can actually help people and be of service, which is really important to me, is that I got to work through my stuff and recognize I do these things, and then say, share that with everybody else so that we're not supposed to be perfect. I want to be perfect. I've like the perfection thing, man, so many times over, but I am not perfect. And I know that still, I have that as a pitfall and it, traps me sometimes, but it is what it is. And so like some of these patterns will be things that for our life we have to deal with, and they'll just shift ever so slightly. I might be late for the rest of my life, but you know what? I'll still keep showing up differently when I'm late, and like try and improve and do the best I can. So I just, and I think one more thing to really remember is that our change and what we might envision changes. And so nothing is stagnant. That vision also gets to change. Nothing has to be absolute. There isn't one way to exist. And even if we feel so strongly about this one way that we want to be in the world, and then something happens and upends that, and then leads us on a different road, but we're like, but there's this one way and it worked, it worked, it worked. But maybe once we get to a different place, it doesn't work anymore. That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't have to always be this one way. And that's part of the thing. Like, I'm American. We had the American dream. And the American dream from the 50s was like, the white picket fence, we have the house, we have the car, we have all these things. And it was affordable. People could buy a house and after a few years, they could pay off their house. They could buy a car and after a few years of working, they could pay off the car. You can't do that anymore. If you pay off your house in 20 to 30 years, you're lucky. And so like the American dream, which came from a war and like all these, trials and tribulations, which made sense and it helped grow our economy and help grow our country and do all these things. It's BS now. It doesn't hold true. So many people are struggling. So many people don't have enough. So many people can't afford things, and obviously we're not going to get into it all, but like inflation and all these things. But like, it's this idea that like at one point that actually did work, that actually was something that people could accomplish. And it felt good in that realm to build a family, to have things, to have a home. And that's different now. So our vision of what, if you want to stick to the words of the American dream is, it's different now. It has to evolve and we have to evolve with it. And so we change all the time. The evolution of what we're envisioning it to be can change all the time. And we can be mutable, flow with it, surrender to it, trust it. Like the more we just allow it to be and not keep that stagnant hold on certain things, the easier everything can be and the easier that we can be with it. And it allows us to be more at peace with ourselves. And so today, my vision can be different than what it might even be tomorrow for what I feel. And it has actually recently, it's evolving because I'm evolving. And that's what's beautiful. Like we are evolving and we don't need to hold on to like absolutes. There are no absolutes because we find out things all the time that break up the absolute. And so like we get to make it up. We really do get to make it up. And that maybe makes it easier, maybe makes it more stressful for some people because they want it in a box, but the box doesn't exist. We create the box. And if we need to create a box, we need to create a box. But I personally don't want to. I have created mini boxes, but I'm done doing the box creation. So I like the idea of the expansion. I like the idea of being open to what the change can be. I like the idea of that I get to let it flow how it needs to flow. I like the idea of trusting in a way that I've never trusted before, which is really recognizing that I am not in control. And I am in control of some things. I got to pick my outfit. I got to like, do my hair. I am in control of like, there's a lot, but there's a lot I'm not in control of. And that's okay. And that's beautiful. And that's just part of being in this space and time. And that then brings in the potential of more joy, more light, more love, more experiences. And there's no guarantees either. Just because we do certain things does not mean one thing is supposed to happen, And that's also like, I think it also makes it easier to not believe and not hold on to like, again, the absolute. If this one thing happens, then it's guaranteed that that happens. That just trips us up. But we have to undo all these things, and it takes time. It takes time. So yeah, I think life is beautiful. It's messy, it's creative, it's fun, and we're co-creating together. That's what's beautiful. It's like we get to make it together. We get to make we get to co-create the beauty of our existence together. No one's in charge of that. We might decide they are, but they actually really aren't. We're the energy, we're the force, we're the power behind it all. We get to create. So we get to create anything we want to in so many ways, you know? It's infinite. We do have infinite possibilities. We have infinite potentials. We we get to just be so much more than we allow ourselves to be, and that what is possible. And we get to resonate from that place. And the more we do, the more the more comes in, the more open the doors open, and things you would never even think of. And maybe you did, but they come in a different form than you would ever, you know, envision. And so it's wonderful. And we make it up. We make it up. We get to co-create. We get to learn and love together. And it's a beautiful experience to be human. I think I think that's what I came here to say. So I don't know if anyone here has anything to add or share or a question, but you're welcome to add anything if there's something there.
Just want to say thank you, really, because that was amazing. Oh, feel so good at being free to express all of those beautiful things. And yeah, I concur.
I'm so sorry I came so late.
Oh, I'm glad you
Um,
came though.
I
Thank
think
you for joining us.
just out of these 20 minutes, I'm like, damn it, what did I miss? What did I miss? I need to watch the first half of the replay then once it's up on the channel. But just from the end of it, this bit where you say, I have to recognize that I'm not in control. That's something that really resonates now, and that got me thinking that I need to write that down and make a workshop on it. Because the kitchen is so great on just you're in control, but you're actually so often not on control. And especially my
Yeah,
job these days feels like every day I come in with a list of tasks to do, and every day I can just like toss half of that list out at least because I
right,
just have to respond.
right,
Yeah. And
right.
yeah, sometimes I fight it. And sometimes I try to regain control, and then I recognize sometimes way too late in the day that it's probably not healthy. It's probably not getting me anywhere.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it was nice to hear that bit from you, Sasha. Thank you.
yeah. You're welcome. I'm so glad that resonated for you. Yeah, I've definitely fought it too. So I totally resonate with that. It also, even when I say it, some of these things that I shared and say, like, I- there's something about saying them that's really easy, but when you actually like feel them and embody them, when you get them inside, like, and you really recognize like we don't have control, then it's like then you've gotten there, because like I can say it sometimes, and then like when again you throw out half of the things that you wanted to get done on your to-do list, and you're like kind of maybe frustrated by that or whatever, like remembering that and then like being in that space and then finding the peace with that, that's the delicious nugget of like the moment where you're like, okay, I'm not in control. Like, okay.
Look for the delicious nugget. I like that. I
Yeah.
just had a big KFC last night, so
Oh,
This is me just
that's why I said it.
making a very sophisticated metaphorical bridge here.
I love it. I love it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Always keep it in the kitchen. You know, I always find
It's those are great metaphors. I agree. Yeah.
No, but that's, you know, sometimes something silly like this helps me. Like I have a 4-day work week ahead of me now, and I bet that when I stop myself and go like, Eva, come on, where's the nugget? Where's the nugget? Like that will help me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I love it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Cool.
This was amazing. Thank you, Sasha. This was perfect.
Okay.
And with that, I will close our session and recording.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. And I'll
you.
see you tomorrow in another 3 different workshops and sessions, which are going to be, again, delicious, because actually tomorrow we are ending the day with Anthea's ceremonial cacao session. So remember to come.
Nice. I'm so curious about that.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, and bye for now.